Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. My name is James Fauntleroy. I am your host with the most. So good to see all of you on this Tuesday afternoon. Today is February 28, 2023, the last day of February. So good to see you. How y'all doing? You doing good? Come on in, sit down, have a seat. Did you grab a snack? Go ahead, quick, grab a snack. Well, grab a snack, grab a drink. If you do a little something, grab a bomb. You know what I'm saying? Go in and do that too. Go ahead. Come on in. Let's have a conversation. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be a really good one. Got a couple of stories to share with you today. But first, before we go through all that, just to let you guys know, this channel is available on all major podcast platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, so you can subscribe to me there. I'm also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can find me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1, RBN Live on Tuesdays at 4, and the Sabby and JB Show on Thursdays at 6. Also, Thank you so much to all the patrons on Patreon, Coffee, as well as members, and anybody that sends me any type of mutual aid via various platforms. They are also in the description if you are feeling generous. They are also down there. Thank you so much to everyone, to all the patrons on the list. I have to update the list, but I will be getting to that shortly. But thank you to the patrons on Patreon as well as Coffee. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, as per usual, just to let you guys know, I also will be going through and saying hello to everybody that's talking with me in the chat because that's what this type of show is. We're interactive. We like to talk to people. All right. All right. Starting off with Give him the boot. Says JB, where you at? I'm right here. We out here. All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Desert Mantis says face purple smiling tears. Greetings, mutants. Halt, mutant. Remember that from X-Men, the animated series, with the Sentinels would say, halt, mutant. Yeah, I remember that. Show my age right now. All right. Wicked Sin says, hello. Hello, Wicked Sin. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. All right. I'm imagining JB playing the music. You can see me just, you know. Oh, man. No. I can't play it. I can't play nothing. Well, no. But thank you, though. All right. Miguel H is also in the chat saying, peace. Arif is in the chat saying, Reaganism kills. It has killed. Trust and believe it has. All right. We have Wadi in the chat saying, hey, everybody. So good to see you in the chat, Wadi. All right. We have Desert Mantis says, yo, JB, Chatternarians. Chatternarians. Never mind. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. It was goofy, but nah, never mind. Rick Soli says, hey y'all. Good to see you, Rick. Rick is also here in the chat. We got Whatever Man coming in saying, hey JB, good to see you, Whatever Man. All right. The Jam Nom coming in saying, hey everyone, good to see you. Good to see you today. All right. And everybody is up in here. And so far, we'll get some people pouring in on Rockfin soon. All right. Jenna Colby says, save Snap. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Oh, my God, I forgot to talk about that, too. I think I'll mention it, too. But Snap benefits are ending for a lot of people today. It ends, and so today's the last day. Because of the emergency SNAP benefits, which means a lot of people are going to lose access to actual food. And it's sad, but that's how our government rolls. And so that's something that a lot of people have also been trying to bring up to attention. Oh, snap. That means my SNAP benefits end. Shit. I mean, I only get like $35, but I mean, I need that $35. God damn it. When it rains, it pours, man. And when it pours, it floods. I'm telling you, man. Because I get SNAP benefits. Sheesh. But yeah, unfortunately, for people like me, it's going to be happening. So, but thanks for the update. Appreciate it, for the reminder, I should say. Thanks, Jenna Colby, so much. All right. Little is in the chat saying, thanks, Jenna. I was going to forget. Thank you, Jenna, coming in with the reminders. That's what we love about our community, man. Our community will remind us of the important stuff. Yeah. Desert Mantis says, don't worry, because we're fighting for freedom and democracy in Ukraine. Yep. Dear God. This whole thing is a lot, man. This thing is a mess. And yeah, look, thanks, Jajira Mom, but you know what? I'm also sorry to all the people who are this is going to happen to. That's what I'm also sorry about because it just reminds me of like when that tax credit that child tax credit where they said they cut child poverty in half in air quotes, which they actually didn't, and then even then that child tax credit it ended. You know, all the parents that were benefiting from that every month now don't have that benefit anymore. And now it's this is really adding insult to injury. And this is actually going to go into this actually is kind of related to what I'm talking about as my first story about a disabled woman and how she was treated by police. And really, the people who are receiving SNAP benefits are people in low income housing, a lot of elderly and disabled people. So the most disenfranchised among us are now getting less benefits because of the state thinking, oh, well, we don't want them to have it too good. That's the crazy part. So, yeah. I didn't know about any articles on the SNAP money disappearing. Some people had shared some stuff on Twitter. Um, um, okay, yeah. So it says the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program emergency allotments temporary benefit increases that Congress enacted to address rising food insecurity and provide economic stimulus during the COVID-19 pandemic will end after February 2023 issuances. This will result in benefit cut for every SNAP household in the jurisdictions that are still paying um, emergency allotments. 32 states, the District of Columbia, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Every household in those states will receive at least $95 a month less. Some households who, under regular SNAP rules, receive low benefits because they have somewhat higher but still modest incomes will receive reductions of $250 a month or more. The average person will receive about $90 a month less in SNAP benefits. So, um, let me let's do this. Let me share my screen really quick just so you guys can see exactly what I see because this is happening to a lot of people. And also let me enlarge this because I didn't I didn't even have this plan on the docket, but this is important. Excuse me, to talk about. So this is actually out of cbpp.org. This is talking about it, and this was released almost a month ago. It says the temporary benefits push back against the hunger and hardship during COVID. A study estimated that emergency assistance kept 4.2 million people above the poverty line in the last quarter of 2021, reducing poverty by 10% and child poverty by 14% in states with emergency assistance at the time. The estimated reduction in poverty rates due to emergency assistance was highest for Black and Latino people. At the end of the temporary emergency assistance will be a significant change that will increase food hardship for many individuals and families, given the modest amount of basic SNAP benefits and the high recent inflation in food prices. Without emergency assistance, SNAP benefits will average only about $6.10 per person per day in 2023. Can you survive off of $6.10 per person per day with these food prices now? Can you? I know I can't. Just ask me how much that bag of of spinach cost. Ask me how much a dozen eggs costs. It continues that average daily benefit is about $1.35 higher per person per day this year than it would have been as a result of the recent adjustment to the Thrifty Food Plan TFP, which is the basis of SNAP benefits. The Agricultural Department, USDA, adjusted the TFP effective the fiscal year 2022 under a congressional mandate to reevaluate. The result, TFP, better aligns SNAP benefits with the cost of nutritionally adequate diet. The problem, though, is with this is that even then, it still is not enough. Like people really need to realize how just to feed one person with the food prices now, and we're not even taking into account the food deserts, right? Which happen in a lot of disenfranchised communities. But what's going on right now with the food prices? I was talking to my mother because she's the one that goes to the store mostly because a lot of times when she goes to the store, it's my dialysis day and I'm exhausted, so I don't, go because I'm at dialysis typically. But today she went to the grocery store too. But we were talking about it. She said eggs are around $8.50 a dozen down here. $8.50, right? And you got to realize that somebody like myself, I do not have housing assistance. I'm trying to get it, but I don't have it. I'm disabled on a fixed income. My mom's disabled on a fixed income. She lives with me. I have a family member that's homeless that's sleeping on my living room floor right now. Right? And then on top of it, my food stamps got cut at the beginning of this year. It went from like $65 to $30, right? $30, $35, right? So my food stamps got cut about in half. Mom's food stamps still haven't come in. And so now we're using regular cash in order to pay for food. And the thing is that some of that money has to go towards rent, which also, by the way, last year they raised my rent $250 in 1 year. I think the year before they raised it another $100. So the thing is that I'm in this with you. And the problem is that this is what we're going through. And so many of us are going through this. So many of you, so many people like me are continually having these things cut because you have politicians in Congress going, oh, we won't want them to have it good. Good where? Good where? Like, good where? Like this is crazy. Like, how in the world are we having it good? Like, look outside my window. I live in the hood, people. Like, look, I got liquor stores and check cashing places and all that right within a block from me right now. And people want to talk about, oh, we have it good? Talk to people who are trying to get on Section 8. Section 8 has a 5-year waiting list. And some of us can't even qualify because we just don't make that. We just make slightly above what we should. So that's the problem. Meanwhile, I was watching on Breakthrough News, and if you guys have not, Breakthrough News is actually a really great outlet, especially because they talk a lot about what's going on outside of our borders. So if you guys would like to, Running a College part of Breakthrough News, but also take a look at Breakthrough News. But they were talking about the economic advancements of China, PRC, People's Republic of China, and how they have they've eliminated abject poverty, extreme poverty for over 850 million people in their country. 850 million people. And so because of their central planning model, because of their model of making sure that people have a place to live, some type of food assistance and education, then what happens? They survive. But yet, We are constantly faced in this country with food insecurity, housing insecurity, health insecurity, environmental insecurity, education insecurity, and yet people say it's your fault, even though it's a systemic problem that requires a systemic solution. And people want to blame the individual. I was not planning on talking about this because I forgot about it. It literally slipped my mind, and I made a mental note. I was like, I was going to talk about this today, but it slipped my mind until beautiful people in the chat reminded me. But yes, this is happening. Somebody said this earlier. I can't remember exactly where, but it makes a lot of sense. The way everybody and all the other 49 states look at Florida is the way the entire world looks like the United States. You see what I mean? You see? But thank you so much. Yeah. So I think I did I share? I'll share it again. I'll share the article in the chat. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. And you guys, if you're receiving SNAP benefits or anything like that, I'm sorry. But that's what's going on right now. Thanks, Tom. Whoa, thank you, Tommy T, for the very generous super chat. That means a lot. Oh my gosh, thank you so very much. I was just thinking about everybody else that's going through this right now. But thank you so much. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. And people just, I hope people wake up. Jenna Colby says people out here demanding some sick version of back to normal because back to normal serves them fine. Yeah, unfortunately, the thing is that for them, normal is, their lives are okay. But what about the lives of other people who aren't okay? Who our lives weren't okay before all this? Yeah. Let me see. Colin says the SNAP rollback depends on which state, but it is linked with millions of losing Medicaid due to senile rapists declaring the end of the pandemic that killed 223,000 in 2023. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Oh, Scott McKenna. I'm sorry. Oh, Scott McKenna. Kenana. Did I say it right? I'm sorry. Says quantitative rising carried in for nearly. Okay, thank you. But yeah, so I want to get to this first story. This one's heartbreaking. As somebody that is disabled, as somebody that goes through the processes that the United States puts us through, this really breaks my heart. I'm going to share a photo with you guys really quick. Okay. So first off, first let me show this just so you guys know exactly what the subject is going to be about. So, stoking the flames of war. So, we're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to be talking about in the US, disabled lives mean nothing. So, with that, let's talk about it. So, who is Lisa Edwards? I'll show you who Lisa Edwards is so that people know or are more aware. This is Lisa Edwards, the lady on the right hand side. Lisa Edwards is a disabled woman who was experienced a medical emergency, and because of that medical emergency, she went to the hospital, and they didn't fully take care of her. Why? I don't know. It could be an insurance issue, something like that. A lot of times, if some hospitals, if you do not have the way to pay, like some people would like, if you don't have a way to pay at all, then they kick you out. Some just treat you like trash. That's the profit motive incentive that we have in our healthcare system. But she was suffering, and then she encountered the police. So I'm going to share the article with you guys really quick, and then there is video. And just let you guys know, it's going to be viewer discretion advised because the video is emotionally heartbreaking. So let's go here. All right. So this is from the Knoxville Police Department. It says family Lisa Edwards says the police were negligent with no respect for human life. Says a family of a woman who died in Knoxville Police's custody speaking out after body cam video of her interaction with law enforcement was released. Family members of Lisa Edwards remembered her as independent, outgoing, caring, and a great mother. Her son, Tom Boylan, said that no matter what, his mother always put her sons first. Me enlarge this just so that people can see it a little bit better. All right. The Knox County District Attorney's Office said that Edwards was on a flight from February 4th from Rhode Island to Knoxville when she began complaining of stomach pain, prompting her initial hospital visit. Lisa's family says she moved from Tennessee to Rhode Island around Christmas of 2018. While living in Rhode Island, Edwards suffered her first stroke that left her physically disabled on August of 2019. But she was still mentally sound, according to her daughter-in-law, August Boylan. She was able to make her own decisions as far as, wanting to move back to Tennessee. She had a plan in place. She was discharged from a nursing home that had helped her arrange her flight back to Tennessee. She was going to be living with a friend in Tennessee. That was from August Boylan. Edwards was taken by paramedics to Blount Memorial Hospital after the flight, where she was evaluated and discharged according to TBI's investigation. The district attorney's office says she sought additional treatment at Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center, where she was observed overnight before she was released early the next morning. When Edwards refused to leave, security guards issued her a warning for disruptive behavior and trespassing, and then called Knoxville Police Department, who arrested her, the DA office said. So, in the body cam footage, it starts off with her outside of the Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center. So she was released early next morning, and then this is when you see the tragedy take place. Now, I'm going to be showing you guys the body cam footage of what happened, and this is going to be tough, but at the same time, people need to see how many people, especially people who are disabled, are treated in this country. So, because people need to know and people need to recognize that in order for a country to actually do better, we have to treat the most disenfranchised among us better. So let me make sure. Okay. All right. And I'm going to share my screen. And this is shared by Justin Kano on Twitter. All right. Let's go.
They want you gone. I'm talking. I understand you say you got some problems going on. You're going to have to find a way to get out of here, okay? I don't want this to turn into a situation where you have to go to jail.
Shattered my ankle. I had a stroke.
Well, if the medical professionals have saw you and discharged you,
they want.
I got nothing to do. I got nothing to do with that thing. But you got to get going.
I can't even get there in there.
So you're saying that you're going to go to jail? What's going to happen is you're going to have to roll this off the property.
It's the hospital's wheelchair.
Well, you're going to have to get up and figure out a way to get gone.
I can't. Please don't do me this way. I don't want to go to jail.
Get up and move in there. Porter Bravo, you had a wagon sitting over there. Jail. Confirmed.
All right, young lady.
Oh no!
I need you to step up.
I
Okay?
can't.
Yeah, you have to.
Pull me back. I can't. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You're going to have to get up there because we're going to have to physically put you up there if not.
Oh my god. I can't. You're gonna break me.
Yes, ma'am. You're going to have to get in
My
there.
ankle. I can't breathe.
You've been medically cleared, ma'am. This is not going to work. So we need you to help us.
My ankle. I'm gonna pass out.
No, stop. Okay, it's not working. Okay, just stop. You've been medically cleared, so we know better.
Oh my god.
Walk.
Oh my god.
Get in the daggone.
Okay.
Oh my
God.
Jesus, Lord, Mary, goats. Now you're starting to piss me off. Get up.
Okay, give me up.
This is all an act. She has been discharged.
No, Harley.
This is the Lord's. Listen to me. This is the Lord's day. All I want to do is give me some coffee and some oatmeal. I'm not going to deal with your mess this morning. We've already spent too much time on you. You're going to get up here in this van and you're going to go to jail. We're done with you.
I'm going to pass out.
You're not going to pass out. We'll go and get in there and pass out. We'll be done with it. Because this is all an act. You're not going back in the hospital. We're not taking you back. You've been kicked out of 2 hospitals.
Please.
What do you need your purse for?
My hand.
It's not in there. We've already
There's
went
no
through it.
inhaler in your purse.
You guys can't do this to me. Oh my god, dear Lord.
Well, you're about to happen? You're about to get some more charges. That's what's about to happen.
Out of my head.
Well, the hospital already said they ain't taking you back. You got what?
I got you.
Don't you dare fucking throw yourself on the ground.
Oh my god. I'm gonna die.
You're not going to die.
My problem with me is that I know it's all an act.
Oh, well, we all know that.
Don't have an inhaler in your purse, ma'am.
This is your inhaler. The medicine is missing.
Get a stretcher.
Get a stretcher.
Yeah,
Why we need a stretcher?
I can't breathe. Oh my god.
You do not have an inhaler.
Hey, I want to sit
Right there.
this. Please hurry.
Ma'am, you're not getting a stretcher.
I'm gonna die.
The hospital discharged you. They said everything was fine with you.
No,
We
they're
found it.
lying. Please set me up.
You got yourself down.
Sure,
We set you up like 10 fucking times.
Just stay on the other side of the river. Uniform's all nasty from her. Want a cigarette?
No. Please set me up.
When you get out to jail, you better not pull this stunt. Because they don't play around out there.
Doctor. Oh my god.
I'm offended. She didn't call me a doctor when I walked up.
I was kind of thinking, just leave her on the sidewalk, put a white blanket over, and everybody can go about their day.
But she's already got a warrant on her now. Disorderly, impede the sidewalk.
I'm gonna have
About
to
the only
go.
thing I can
Please give me a stretcher.
You're about to get an extra charge for disorderly conduct. You're about to get anything I can think of. Impede the sidewalk.
I'm gonna
You're
have
about
to
to get
go.
anything I can think of.
There's no stretcher for you.
Yes, it is. I'm sick. Oh my god. You guys are gonna let me die. Please set me up. Sir, please. You're gonna kill me. Please. I beg you.
Stand up.
My leg.
We know you can walk. Now stop.
Oh no. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Now
Shut up. You can set yourself up.
How can you kill me? I can't breathe. I can't.
What's that?
Zip me up.
You pulled yourself to.
Zip me up. Oh my God.
Scoot back towards me.
You beat my car?
I'm sorry, I ain't doing
Okay. You guys
You're fine back there. Stop it.
take me
I ain't
off.
dealing with you today. You're fine.
Stop and pull me up. I can't breathe. Huh? Oh my God. Please help me.
Just lift yourself up.
I can't.
Hey, are you up? I don't know. She's not responding back here now. Can you start me at 47 here emergency, please? Hey, come on, sit up. Sit up.
20 to 41, is it your prisoner that's unconscious or the driver of the car you stopped?
My prisoner. Sit up.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if she's faking it or what, but she's not answering. Wake up. Hey, wake up.
That was somebody's mama. What if that was your mama? Or your father? What if that was your sibling? What if that was your auntie or your grandma? What if that was your uncle, your grandpa? What if that was your kid? There's a lot of failures that have happened. In this process. The first failure was that of our medical system. Many people have said it's not a healthcare, it's more of a sick care system. You want to know what one of the number one things, and I'm in and out of the hospital multiple times a year because of my disability. But you know what one of the number one things people tell me is? The phrase, listen to your body. Miss Lisa was listening to her body. She said, I'm having a stroke. She told them, I'm having a stroke. Some people who have strokes have to be told that they're having a stroke. She knew it. She knew. And after plea, after plea after plea after plea, she was told, shut up. You're faking it. Nothing's wrong with you. We're going to add more charges to you. Her pleas went unheard. They could have even just called EMTs just in case, just to see if she's faking it, right? If she was, EMTs could have came over. They could have taken her blood pressure. They could have got an EKG out of her. They could have, listened to her heart and her lungs. They could have done all that right on site. They were literally at the hospital. They could have got somebody out to do that. They could have at least got a nurse to come from triage to take her pulse, to see the signs. And yet, they didn't do that. Why? Because that's the way police operate. If Miss Lisa Edwards were a witch woman, she would have got a lot different treatment. Let's just be real. This is tough, man. Quote, you don't have to be a medical professional to know what the signs of stroke are. And you can see that in her, start to finish. Her speech is completely changes from start to finish. And she's struggling to breathe. That is not somebody working themselves up like they said in there. That is not somebody faking it. She said it herself that she was dying, that she was having a stroke. Tim Boylan, her son, said, if I treated someone the way they treated her, I'd be in jail now, heading to prison. Why are they not? I have no idea. And now she died. She died. If my mom went to a hospital and then they discharged her, even though she knew something was wrong, she knew. Number one, she should have never been discharged. Especially after the way she's been. Before they discharge you, they got to take a few things. They got to take your vitals. They got to see if you're good before you can go. And if she started feeling a certain way, she told them. They didn't go back in and say, hey, she says she's still not feeling good. But no, they didn't. They talked down to her like she was trash. Because the police are there to protect capital. That hospital, it's not just what we think of as a hospital, as a place to take care of people. That hospital is a business. And so they don't want those people they want those people in front of there messing up their business, crowding up their business, And so they said, get her out of here. And so guess what? The police do what they're told, just like they do for all capital. To protect capital, which is also part of our healthcare system, they went over there. They treated her like dirt, took her into their custody, and she died in their custody because they neglected. Her words went unheeded. Her pleas went unheard. They fell on deaf ears. And somebody's mama died. This is how we're treated as disabled people in this country. And the crazy part is a lot of times people will just, they don't take into the consideration of it. And it's not just in the healthcare. It's not just with law enforcement. What else does it also involve? It involves housing, right? It involves food. What were you just talking about earlier? SNAP benefits getting cut off. Guess what? It involves food. It involves education. It involves access just to normal places. So many different things are affected when you are part of the some of the most disenfranchised people in this country. And then people turn a blind eye whenever I put disabled in the title. They'll be like, this doesn't involve me. But it will involve you. One day it will involve you, because you're either going to have two things happen to you. One of two things. You're either going to become disabled or elderly or both. It's going to happen to you. And if it doesn't happen to you, that means you're dead. That's the only way it's going to happen. So when we talk about people who are disabled, when we talk about people who are elderly, it does involve you. You need to pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, that means you're going to be foregoing the knowledge that you need to have about something that may happen to you in the future. And this is why it is so important. So when people like me talk about disabled rights, when people like me talk about people who are dealing with things while they're disabled, you guys need to pay attention and listen. Because if you're not listening, then guess what? You're also going to be subjecting yourself to some abuse by the state in the future. And you're not going to know what's going on, because you're not going to actually want to work to change things that are happening in this country. And so now you have people like Miss Lisa Edwards that have died at the hands of the Knoxville Police because they didn't give a shit about her. My mother's disabled and elderly. What if that was my mama? What if that was yours? And yet, people will just scroll past the story. Day in, day out. If it's not things like that, it's also us living in poverty. That's what happens. So please, when someone who is disabled starts speaking about their experiences in this country, just give a listening ear. Just pay them at least a little bit more attention. Because when we talk about these things, and I've said it before, those of us who are Black in this country, if they do it to us, they're going to do it to you. And the crazy part was Lisa Edwards was white. Can you imagine if Lisa Edwards was a Black woman? This is why we need to pay attention. pay more than the usual attention to the people who are most disenfranchised, because that tells you how this country feels about its people. And once you see that, you'll realize that we live in a failed state. That's why I said the state abuse of Lisa Edwards. Absolutely, Raziel the Great. Because at the end of the day, we are all in the same Titanic. So the link to this in the video, I'm going to put in the chat, but it's also in the description below. Oops. Just so that you guys can see. But that broke my heart, man. That broke my heart. Because when you see people like her going through that, the first thing I thought was, what if that was my mother? And you have to think like that, because if you don't think like that, then your empathy diminishes. You can't let your empathy diminish. You just can't. Because the moment you lose your empathy, you start to lose your humanity. And you start to look at people like they're other when they're not. Every life is precious. Every life. I'm going to go to the chat. Jenna Colby says it's terrifying aging in this country. Absolutely. That's the hard part. You have Kelly Lane say doctors are only human and sometimes they suck. Yeah, they're not infallible, you know. But at the same time, there's some people who are in that hospital, both those hospitals, that have some answers. We need some answers from them, because they didn't listen to Miss Lisa, and now she's gone. Rafilo says heartless. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Kona Ursa says police hiring standards really fallen. The thing is that they didn't really fall. That's how they always were. If you look at the origin of policing, they've always been that way. We're just seeing more of it because of the technology today. Everybody has a camera now. So guess what? We all see with our own eyes what many of us were talking about for a long time. So that's what's happening. We're just seeing how bad it's always been. Rick Solis says this video, like the others, are such a damning indictment of this extremely cruel capitalist imperialist system. Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Refilo says, no empathy whatsoever. How many times has she begged for help? Many. Many times. Many times. So, yeah. Raziel says, yet the Latin and Asian cultures, we literally keep our elders in our homes until they pass. Yeah. But that is also because the Latin and Asian cultures are less individualistic than here in the United States. And I say in the United States, I don't say a particular people, because the United States within the imperial core, within the capitalist core, is individualistic. And it also means capitalists make more money, especially when you send mom and dad to a private nursing home so that they can make more money off of them. That's how it works. I'm sure it's the same in African cultures. I'm sure it's the same in some European cultures that they want to keep, I know that it's that way in a lot of like Italian culture. Yeah, families, once you get elderly, you stay with family. So it's not just, you know, Latin and Asian cultures, many cultures around the world. The problem is the individualistic culture that we have in this country. And unfortunately, how much you want to bet that the Latin and Asian cultures, the kids that are born in this country, that are raised in this country, are now developing that mindset, that individualistic mindset. And now, guess what they're doing to their older ones in their family? They're not keeping them at home; they're shipping them off. And plus, we can't even afford to keep them. We can't even afford to do it because we don't make enough money to even house ourselves, let alone be able to house anybody that's older in our family to take care of them. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's why this is systemic. It's individualism plus the systemic issue. And it puts you between that rock and that hard place. And then next thing you know, we're out on the lurch. Our elderly ones and disabled ones are out on the lurch. They are just being tossed to die. Instead of keeping that more community-oriented structure within our families, it's not profitable. Yeah. Lose therein. Telemon says it cuts both ways, though. A lot of families in this country throw their kids to the wolves in the moment they turn 18. And what a lesson are the children taking away to pass their children? That's true, but that also goes again to what I was talking about the individualism that we have in this country. A person at 18 isn't necessarily ready to be out on their own. They need a lot more independence, yes, definitely, of course. But are they necessarily ready to be out on their own? They should be able to get out there when they're ready. But the problem is you have some parents, they can't afford it. So they need their kid to either get out or a lot of times get a job. I'd rather them stay here and get a job, but at the same time, things are becoming so expensive. And I think that's something that we need to do, that we need to change. But at the same time, this system doesn't want us to do that. This system doesn't want us to have more of a community aspect. This system doesn't want us to have more of a collective mindset when it comes to the way we rear children, the way we, hold fast our disabled and elderly ones. They don't want that. That's why the system needs to be changed from the ground up. So, going to the next story. And let me check Rockfin. Okay. So the next story is going to be a doozy. So before I get to that, please make sure to like the stream. This helps me in the algorithm to be more pushed forward, because they're not going to like what I'm about to talk about. Let's be real. So thank you so very much to everyone so far. But yeah, so this is going to be, I usually don't go into foreign policy like this, but I'm trying to do more foreign policy. So I'm learning as I go, and I'm going to show you guys what I learned. So make sure to like the stream. And I think I'm at 25. I think I'm at 2550 as far as subs. So yeah. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click the red box and subscribe. Now, Ukraine rally in DC. So I said, stoking the flames of war. Why did I say stoking the flames of war? Well, let's take a look-see. All right. So over the weekend, there was a rally that was held in Washington, D.C. And it was after the Rage Against the War Machine rally. And so this was covered by many different outlets. Unlike the Rage Against the War Machine rally, which was covered by a couple of local outlets and Rancho Mato, this one was covered by many. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. All right. So this is from Reuters. Yes, Reuters. All right, let's go.
And America strengthening and everything possible to uphold the fundamental principle.
365 days of sorrow, losses, tragedies, and destruction. But we are not talking about that today. We are talking about 365 days of heroic, almost impossible fight. Ukrainians put defending our homes, loved ones, our independence, our dignity, our sovereignty, freedom, and democracy.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
I think that people were desperate and shocked and baffled, and this year it's different. This year we have hope, and we are certain that Ukraine will win, because we can see that Ukraine is winning already with the use of all the support from the US and Europe.
Save Ukraine! Save the world!
Save Ukraine! Save the world!
Shame on Russia!
Shame on Russia!
Stop raping Ukrainians! Stop killing Ukrainian children!
So that's what happened over the weekend. But I just want to go back in and listen to what that young woman said. Make sure. Just want to hear what she had to say again. Because there's a particular narrative that's being spoken about. Okay. Hang on, let me make sure. Okay.
I think that people were desperate and shocked and baffled. And this year it's different. This year we have hope, and we are certain that Ukraine will win, because we can see that Ukraine is winning already with the use of all the support from the US and Europe.
So the focus isn't on ending the war. From what it sounds like, the focus is on winning the war. So this sounds like it's less of an anti-war rally and more a pro-war rally. This wasn't like the rally last week, where they were talking about both sides put your arms down and let's negotiate peace. No, this one was Ukraine beat the snot out of Russia. That's what this was. That's what this was a call for. Sounds a little bit different. Yeah, I didn't hear anything nefarious about this rally from Rachel Maddow. The corporate media outlets are showing this as a anti-war rally, which it clearly isn't, because they're rooting for one side to win over another instead of just a negotiation of peace. In fact, somebody gave some insights into this. Political commentator and old man winter, Noam Chomsky. Let's hear what he has to say.
Policy, I stress official, and that means NATO goes along, is to fight the war to weaken Russia. What happens to Ukrainians is incidental. Let's hamper negotiations, weaken the Russians, and if the Ukrainians suffer, who cares? They don't say those words, but that's what it clearly amounts to.
Mm-hmm.
NATO's going along, calling military aid lend-lease, is saying, okay, let's move on to a world war if necessary. Is that what we want? What we're doing in the great game is creating a Russia-China alliance supported by India and other countries of Asia, which will lead to Russia is a declining kleptocracy. They don't say those words, but that's what it clearly suffer. Who cares? They don't say those words. Ukrainians suffer. Who cares? They don't say those words, but that.
So they really don't care about Ukrainians suffering. What it really matters is that they overtake Russia. So really, when you look at it, is it really about, is it so clear that it's just a megalomaniac from Russia wanting to take over Ukraine because he just wants to expand the waters of Russia? Is that what it actually is? Is that what Putin is all about? I'm going to share with you guys a story really quick. And let's go to this, because this actually gives more insight into the thoughts of the West as they are continuing to fund and push this proxy war. Ex-Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett blames the West for thwarting possibility of peace between Russia and Ukraine. Naftali Bennett said that his efforts as a middleman between Russia and Ukraine was almost a success, with both countries agreeing to make concessions in a call for a truce. It said peace could have been a possibility between Russia and Ukraine shortly after the start of their conflict in February of last year. However, the latest reports shed light on the fact that Kiev's Western backers blocked the negotiations between the two neighbors. The shocking statement has been made by former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who mediated those contacts. Naftali says West blocked truce between Russia and Ukraine. In an interview on Israel's Channel 12, Naftali Bennett said that his efforts as middleman between Moscow and Kiev was almost a success, with both countries agreeing to make concessions and call for a truce. However, he added that it did not happen. It did not happen as Western backers to Ukraine stopped it from taking place. Quote, I think there's a legitimate decision by the West to keep striking Russian President Vladimir Putin. I mean, the more aggressive approach, he said. Basically, yes, they blocked it. So question if U.S. and its allies blocked the peace process between Moscow and Kiev. Bennett, however, clarified, I claim there was a good chance of reaching a ceasefire, but I'm not claiming it was the right thing. Bennett further revealed that his mediation was coordinated to the minutest detail with U.S., France, and Germany. However, a conflict broke out. There was no unified approach on how to deal with it. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson adopted an aggressive line. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron were more pragmatic, and U.S. President Joe Biden was both. So, really, they almost had peace a year ago. A year ago. And what did Boris and Joe say? They said no. They didn't want it. So the whole reason why this is continuously going on is because it was from interference from the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of the UK, and President Joe Biden not wanting it to happen. Why? Why? Could it be that these people are owned by the military-industrial complex? Because as we learn that, well, the United States, when it comes to giving all this money to Ukraine, that money doesn't touch Ukraine hands. It actually goes straight to the military-industrial complex. And then they collect the money, and then they send the arms to Ukraine. So that's basically what it is. So really, the perpetuation of this war is constantly being pushed by the United States government and the United Kingdom. And then you have people saying, well, we need to continuously send arms to Ukraine. But Ukrainians are losing the war. And they're dying out there. And is it really because Putin is a megalomaniac that's trying to just increase the borders? Well, you guys got to look at the history. Like what happened in 2014. In fact, it really goes all the way back to the fall of the Berlin Wall. It goes back to the fall of the Soviet Union, if you really want to go back. But the United States and NATO kept pushing and increasing NATO states against Russian borders. And so guess what? They keep threatening Russia, so they keep pushing them. Not to mention the fact that in the eastern part of Ukraine, it's more ethnic Russians and Russian-speaking Ukrainians there. And the fact that they actually want to be Russia, they want to be a Russian state. And so Russia intervened at their behest. And then next thing you know, the western part of Ukraine was like, oh, hell no, you don't. And so then they started killing thousands of people in Donbass. I'm going to show you guys something really quick. This is something that you guys need to know about. Wait, that's series film. Okay. All right. So remember last week when I had on Kevin Ronka from Right Brain Studios? I want to show you guys something. Here we go. This is Right Brain TV. They have the documentary by Oliver Stone called Ukraine on Fire. I saw this documentary. This documentary will educate you a lot on the behind the scenes of what happened and what led to the start of this war, this proxy war last year. By the way, this was deleted and you cannot watch it on YouTube any longer. It was available on YouTube. They took it down. So if you guys want to see this and get the backstory, and Oliver Stone literally is talking to Vladimir Putin about some of the backstory about what happened with Yanukovych and all that, what happened in 2014 in the Medine massacre and the Medine conflict that happened, and they even go into the Odessa massacre, then this is a great documentary to look at. If you guys have not seen it, I highly recommend. And you guys just go to Right Brain Studios, and you guys, I think it's like $5 per month. They're a streaming service. They're an anti-imperialist streaming service. How many streaming services that you know of that are anti-imperialist? I don't know of any besides Right Brain. So go ahead, and if you guys want to, you guys can get yourself a subscription to Right Brain Studios, because they're doing great work over there. And I had Kevin Ronka on last week. Great discussion. And that will also help you guys as far as your education, because you guys are going to hear and see things that you don't get from corporate media, because the corporate media is really U.S. state media. So just letting you guys know. Interesting documentary to watch. So here's another article. And this is dangerous territory, y'all. I mean, I'm telling you, this is very dangerous territory that we're in. And this is out of Common Dreams. It says Boris Johnson pressured Zelensky to ditch peace talks with Russia. Ukrainian paper. The British government has become an obstacle to peace in Ukraine. The conflict there is developing into a proxy war between Russia and NATO, and it is the Ukrainian people who will suffer the consequences. Ukrainian news outlet Ukrainianska Pravda reported Thursday that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson used a surprise visit to Kiev last month to pressure President Volodymyr Zelensky to cut off peace negotiations with Russia, even after the two sides appear to have made tenuous progress towards settlement to end the war. Citing unanimous sources from Zelensky's inner circle and advisory team, Pravda reported that Johnson brought two simple messages to Kiev. He said, first, quote, the first is that Putin is a war criminal. He should talk, huh? He should be pressured, not negotiated with. And the second is that even if Ukraine is ready to sign some agreements on guarantees with Putin, they are not. We can sign an agreement with you, Ukraine, but not with him. Anyway, he will screw everyone over, is how one of Zelensky's close associates summed up the essence of Johnson's visit. Johnson's position was that the collective West, which back in February had suggested Zelensky should surrender and flee, now felt that Putin was not really as powerful as they had previously imagined. Moreover, there's a chance to press him, and the West wants to use it. So ultimately, this is really just about arms and more funding for military. And the sad part about all this is that it's just inching us closer and closer and closer to nuclear war. And unfortunately, some people are under the impression that, oh, sending arms to Ukraine is a necessary thing in order for us to make sure that we can, in order so that we can have peace there. But that's not the case.
Well, yesterday marked a gruesome anniversary. Russia invaded Ukraine 1 year ago, and that deadly war is still going on. Here's an upsetting number. More than 200,000 people from both sides have been killed. The United States is taking extra steps to help Ukraine. The Pentagon announced a $2 billion security package. It will include more ammunition and small high-tech drones. The White House also announced a coordinated effort with G7 partners. Well, right here in the district, hundreds gathered today at the Lincoln Memorial to commemorate the 1 year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Zach Merchant shares their message to America as they look ahead to the future of the fight and look back on how it started.
At the time, many analysts wondered if the war would last even a week. Now, 1 year later, Ukraine is still very much in the fight, but supporters at the rally today said continued Western support is needed to keep the war going.
Right now, I literally have goosebumps.
Did you guys hear what he just said? Hold up. Wait.
Keep the war going.
Keep the war going? Why would anybody want to keep this war going? I thought it was about saving lives. Keep the war going? This is what it's about. It was never about actually negotiating peace. If it was actually about negotiating peace, it would have taken place already. But like I just showed you guys in the article earlier, Boris Johnson and Joe Biden did not want peace. They don't. They want to keep the war going because Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing are making a ton of money off of this war. That's why they're not stopping it. That's why they're sending billions and billions and billions. Instead of giving money to East Palestine, Ohio, Jackson, Mississippi, instead of giving money to Flint, Michigan, so that they can revamp their infrastructure, because they're literally being poisoned right now. Instead of doing that for them, guess what they're doing? Oh, well, send it for war. That's what it is.
Slava Ukraine! Right now, I literally have goosebumps. We're stronger than we even know.
I'm glad that we're still going strong, and I'm just praying for this to be over soon.
A day.
It won't be over until peace talks actually happen.
After the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, supporters of the embattled country stood defiant on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
We were given.
But the funny part is that what a lot of people don't realize is that this didn't start last year. This didn't start last year. This started back in 2014 when the United States helped do a coup in Ukraine. And even then, it didn't even start at 2014. You got to go back even further. So that's the thing. And a lot of times people they're like goldfish. They, their memories don't go back that far. And people will say, oh, last year in 2022. No. Take 2022 out of your mind. This was chickens coming home to roost. Let's go back even further. And the United States was pushing for this. This is what they wanted. This isn't something that this isn't something that the United States was like trying to prevent. No, they wanted this.
In 3 days, but here we are 365 days later.
Gabriela Grabowska saw Russia's February 2022 invasion firsthand. She's now a freshman at George Mason University. But before she arrived for classes in August, she was living in her hometown of Kyiv when tanks and helicopters approached.
I needed to hide in snow with my dad. He tried to cover my body because I was wearing colorful clothes.
Rally attendees thanked the United States for its support, which helped Ukraine push back those early advances.
America has stood with Ukraine every day.
And asked for continued aid to keep Ukraine supplied for the fight ahead.
We're aiming at the victory, and we're hoping to bring that victory closer.
So like I said, this was not a anti-war rally. This was a pro-war rally. Anybody saying that it was an anti-war rally, they're wrong. And you have a lot of outlets that are painting it as such. It's not. Because they're not talking about the United States stop funding the war and negotiating peace. Because who shut that door? Joe Biden shut that door. Now, there's this here. Thousands rally in D.C. in support of Ukraine. 1 year after Russian invasion. Says supporters of Ukraine rallied Saturday afternoon on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in D.C., marking the end of the first year of the Russian invasion that killed tens of thousands of people. Blue and yellow Ukrainian flags were held high in the winter wind or wrapped around the shoulders of rallygoers who gathered on the plaza above the reflecting pool. We have a plan, which is a very simple plan. which we've had since day one. Here is the loud part that everybody needs to pay attention to. More weapons, more support to Ukraine, and more sanctions to Russia. Oksana Markarova, Ukrainian ambassador to the United States. Does that sound anti-war to you? More weapons, more support to Ukraine, and more sanctions to Russia. Does that sound anti-war to you? Guess what? It's not. It's not anti-war. What did she say? Makarova? She said, thank you, Americans, for each weapon, for each taxpayer's dollars of help, for each prayer, for each flag that we see outside of American houses. Does that sound like an anti-war rally? Doesn't sound like one to me. And in pushing this, they push the doomsday clock closer than I've ever seen before in my life. Doomsday clock says a time of unprecedented danger. It is 90 seconds to midnight. The closest it's ever been was 2 minutes. Now we're at 90 seconds to midnight. So that's the issue right now. Meanwhile, all over the world, especially in places like Germany, they're holding anti-war rallies, actual peace rallies, and pushing for ceasefire. Here's Claire Daly sharing rally. Says ceasefire now, support peace talks, no nuclear escalation, stop NATO expansion, negotiate peace. Thousands on the streets in Brussels yesterday demanding de-escalation and peace talks. The European peace movement will not be silenced. You have people here in Europe saying, no, stop escalation, stop sending money, stop sending weapons.
Stop gun all drugs! Stop gun all drugs!
So that's what's going on in Europe. And it's going on in more cities across Europe because they're seeing the results of this war, especially when the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was destroyed by the United States. That's already been documented and put into the record by Cy Hirsch, so we don't need to debate that. The United States actually did it. It's done, right? The United States really were the ones that sabotaged Germany, and so now Germany has fuel prices that are skyrocketing now because they actually have to get their liquefied natural gas from the United States instead of the cheap Russian liquefied natural gas from Russia. So instead, now what's going on is their prices are skyrocketing because they can't afford it, and it's costing them not just the lives of their neighbors over there in Ukraine and in Russia, but it's also costing them their lives because now they are being affected economically. And so they're sick and tired of it. And we're sick and tired of sending our billions of tax dollars over, to the military industrial complex to fight a proxy war just so that they can get their hands on Russian on what Russia has. Their oil, their natural gas, their land. That's really what it's about. And even here in the United States, like I said, what happened last year? Last year, it was an anti-war rally called Rage Against the War Machine. Now, many people have some disagreements with who was there and whatnot, and that's fine. Okay. But rest assured that the message at the rally was that no, we need to stop this war and it needs to end, not continue it, not continue one side or the other. That's the point. And a lot of people like Rachel Maddow were talking about how small and tiny this rally was when really it wasn't tiny. In fact, here's what Max Blumenthal showed.
Coming up for you next, was there anybody here who
Make some
might have
noise,
attended
Southern
it?
Gray Zone! Come on, make noise! Gray Zone! Get up, get up! Make some noise, make some noise! Gray Zone, love you! You're live, make some noise!
They're going to get set up for us right now. Jordan is a liberty lover, lawful advocate, libertarian. Coming up for you next.
So that's what happened. So one anti-war rally and then one pro-war rally, basically. But the pro-war rally got more coverage. That's our system. Thanks to YepX for the super chat. Says Ukraine can't win as reported in a consortium news article. RT also shared Zelensky threatened the U.S. if he didn't have an endless supply of funding. Not just the U.S., Europe prevented peace deals too. Yeah, just like, I was mentioning how Boris Johnson, also stood in the way of those peace deals. And, people don't want to talk about it, but Ukraine is with their back against the wall right now. And it's not looking good for them. Because Russia is not, they're not playing seriously. They're not playing seriously. It's like, and I hate to liken it to a game, but this is the best analogy I can think of at on a moment's notice. But it's like sitting, and playing a fighting game, right? And you have, the little like 7 or 8 year old that's never played the game, and they're sitting there. They're what we call button mashers. You remember that? Some of you who like the game. And then so the little kid is getting there and they're trying to figure out the controls of the game. And you've been playing the game for God knows how long. You know how to play the game. You've been playing it for years. And next thing you know, you just easily whoop them because you weren't really serious. Right? The only time you get serious is like if you have somebody next to you and then you sit at the edge of your seat and you're like, okay, let's go. But they're not even playing seriously when it comes to this. That's the crazy part a lot of people don't take into consideration. They're a nuclear superpower. Russia is a nuclear superpower. They need to negotiate peace because Ukrainian and Russian lives are being lost, but the United States doesn't care about Ukrainian lives, and they damn sure don't care about Russian lives either. Thanks for the super sticker, the Olas Dotier. Did I say it correctly? I'm sorry if I didn't. But thank you so very much for that as well. It's just crazy, man. And then people sit here, talk about the war crimes of Vladimir Zelensky. I'm sorry, of Vladimir Putin. And the funny part is nobody is talking about the war crimes of Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, or Joe Biden. Nobody's talking about those war crimes. And it's not whataboutism. It's like, okay, you're worried about somebody who's thousands of miles away, yet you got a war criminal sitting right there in D.C. What are you doing about him? Like, what are you doing? And it's crazy, man. Make sure to like the stream. If you guys have not, please make sure to do that. As well as if you have not clicked the subscribe button, go ahead, click the subscribe button. You know what? At this point, I don't care. I don't care. If you click it, you click it. If you don't, you don't. I'm just letting you know it's there, right? The forehead kisses are a lot better if you do, though. Let me stop. Killier Gregor says they don't care about American lives either, JB. Right. True. Don't you hate kill your Gregors. Don't you hate being right sometimes? Like, it's not even a thing about like arrogance. Like, oh man, I'm right again. Like, like there's times where I hate being correct about stuff. You know, I know some of y'all hate being correct about stuff because then it means it's like it's the wrong thing. Jenna Colby says, "Don't knock button mashing. Sometimes button mashing gets the goods." You're right, because I played against some little kids that were button mashers, and I'm like, I literally had to sit up close to the edge of my seat and be like, "All right, man, this little kid is. Let me kick their ass." So yeah, I know. Yepek says Zelensky is a war criminal too, but Putin and Zelensky don't even come close to what the U.S. has done. Yeah, the U.S. has done a lot. It's done a lot, man. All right. Let me check here. All right. Man, I'm telling you. Desert Mitch says, I lived in Kansas for 6 years. There was well-known intersection called Stinky Corner because the hog farm. You guys are talking pigs? Not police? All right. But yeah, so that was the stories for today. And sorry for it being a little somber for today, but these are some stories that I wanted to make sure I get to because I saw them and I thought they were important. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned because I'll be getting into the reading of Assata Shakur's autobiography, the next part, chapter 6, part 2. I'll be getting into that soon, as well as just let you guys know I've been on Rumble for quite a while now. So if you guys prefer Rumble, you guys can go there. Or if you guys prefer Rockfin, I'm also on Rockfin too. So just let you guys know, I'm also on those platforms as well. If you guys get tired of the tube, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at as well. So you guys can see that. Also, just in case you weren't aware, you can sign up for my mailing list on Substack. You guys can go to jaybefaunt.substack.com and you guys can get put on my mailing list so that you guys have notifications of when my lives and streams happen, because they do happen. They happen. It's happening. Oh yeah, it's happening. Oh yeah. All right. And also, you know, thanks a lot to everybody for coming in and being a part of the stream. And look, just keep an eye on the people who are that you know of that are disenfranchised. Check on them, right? Check on the people in your life that are disabled. Check on the people who are elderly, lower income. Check on them if they're trans or non-binary or gay, lesbian. Check on them check on your Black friends. We're going through it. Check on your Latino. Check on any minority friend. Check on your family members that are going through some mental health issues. Check on the ones who seemingly aren't part of any disenfranchised community too, because they might be going through some shit too. Check on your people and let them know that you care and let them know that you're there, right? Because we all go through so much on a daily basis, and most of that is due to this system. That's what it is. So check on everybody. And then once you do that, then people will start trying to check on you too, which is also very important. You know, and check on each other. Because we all need it, man. We're all going through so much. Definitely. But yeah. So thanks again, once again, to all the patrons on Patreon and Coffee. Without you guys, I would not be able to have this channel. You guys make the world go round for me. My gosh, I appreciate you. Oh my goodness. And look, like I always tell everybody, water your plants, water yourselves. And you know what I mean? Leave the world better than you found it. Smooth him if you got him. Drink him if you got him. And if you ain't got him, just laugh. Watch something hilarious. Build up and reinforce your joy, because joy is revolutionary. That's what you need to do. Mwah. Forehead kisses. You guys were waiting for it, weren't you? I know you were. Y'all like to get kissed by my big mouth, don't you? Yeah. Catch me on RBN Live. I'll be there in a few minutes. See ya!